December Citizen Involvement Committee meeting. We have quite a few people out here in the audience. I would just ask that you make sure that you have signed in. On the back counter, there's an attendance so that we can know who is here. And if you would care to comment on any of the things on the agenda tonight, we have an open comment period that you can comment on items not on the agenda, or if you had something to comment on items on the agenda. There are comment cards in the back also that you would need to fill out and hand to Laura Turway, and we'd be glad to hear what you have to say on those items. Rita announced that she was resigning from the CIC, and her replacement is Cameron McCready, who is not able to attend tonight. And the Kanema neighborhood held elections and have new chair and vice chair, and Jessica is the current vice chair. And so she will be the CIC rep along with Dennis Anderson. So we welcome you tonight. And with that, I'll turn over to Barbara for the roll call.
Okay. Tony. Here. Mark Matheson.
Here.
Dennis Anderson. Okay, I need to. Jessica Smith.
Here.
Amy Wilhite.
Here.
Joyce Gifford.
Here.
Mike Mitchell.
Here.
Faith Elite.
Here.
Cameron McCready's excused. Jesse Buss.
Here.
Myself. Karen Morey.
Present.
And Bill McConnell.
Here.
Gary Fergus.
Here.
And Brian Boyce.
Here.
Tony Conkle is here. Laura. Commissioner Shaw is excused. Okay.
Okay, great. So our first item up on the agenda is public comment, and we invite
You missed somebody.
Harris.
Steve. How do we miss you?
Yeah.
Steve Van Haverbeek.
Okay.
What do you have in the
I
piece?
already crossed it.
We don't have our usual roll call sheet. Sorry, Steve.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And Harris Gwynn I missed as well.
Oh, right.
I don't know where he
It's
is.
Harris.
Okay.
All right, Barkley we covered. Let's go through this way. How shall we do that? Barkley, we got Kanema,
Mhm.
Caulfield, Gaffney,
Hillendale.
Hillendale, McLaughlin, Park Place is you two, Rivercrest, South End, Tower Vista, Two Rivers. Okay.
All right.
Sorry, Steve. All right, public comment. Christina Robertson Gardner has asked to speak to us for a few minutes. She has something she would like us to give support for.
Yes.
And I'll let you introduce it.
Absolutely. Hello, Christina Robertson Gardner. It's hard to speak to people behind me. I am here this evening requesting CIC support for an upcoming grant that Oregon City, Clackamas County, and Metro is applying for with the EPA. And if you were at the City Commission meeting last Wednesday, you saw the resolution of support that the commissioners gave. And the reason we're coming here tonight is always, as you do grants, you want to show a broad base of support, but especially for this one. This is a coalition grant looking at a community assessment, and they really want to see community involvement in this, both in the grant application and as we move forward if we get the grant monies. And I'll give a little brief overview of what this is, and Amy has asked me to read out the letter, so I'll do that too because we're looking for this letter of support. Basically, this is a community-wide assessment grant through the EPA, and so 3 governments are applying for up to $600,000. And what that will do is, if we receive that money, Metro and it will help with Clackamas County and Oregon City create a citizen committee that will look at the EPA grant requirements as well as what opportunities there are within the identified corridor for this project, which is basically the 99E corridor from about North Milwaukee down to the mill site. And opportunities for brownfield assessment. It's the first phase. So things like if you're a property owner that may have a oil tank or a storage tank on your property from a previous business, maybe you have asbestos issues, this assessment will allow you to understand what will need to happen in order to clean up. So it's that first phase and actually getting to the cleanup, and it's some of the being able to understand what property owner is looking at for cleanup. And this will allow then potential additional monies for and future grants for both for public cleanup, and then helping potentially with private owners with Business Oregon. There's some low-interest loans, but you can't get to the cleanup until you do the assessment, so it's that important first step. And if we do get the grant, we'll be looking back to community support and for people to be on the community committee, which will create a list of up to 20 sites that kind of meet the requirements. And the reason I'm here tonight is we know the former Blue Heron site is a prime candidate and will most likely apply for it, but we'll be applying through this committee process that will give out those grants, and it'll be the project is going to be administrated through Metro, and Brian Harper did this project a lot like this previously, so we're really excited to have this experience. So what I'm asking tonight is for support, and if I could read the letter.
That'd be great.
Sure. It says, thank you for the opportunity to show our support for and commitment to the Metro Oregon City and Clackamas County application for the USA EPA Brownfields Community-Wide Assessment Grant. During the fiscal year 2016 grant competition, we strongly support the program's goals to identify priority brownfield sites and to conduct assessment activities and development planning that can improve quality of life in our community. The Citizen Involvement Committee is made up of representatives from Oregon City's neighborhood associations. We support grants like this that are grounded in ensuring that public engagement is at the heart of how brownfield assessment grants are awarded. We are eager to be an engaged partner on this project and commit to contributing to this effort by disseminating project information and notice of opportunities for public input to our network and our partners, as well as engaging with our network during early grant scoping period to inform the selection of priority project sites. We look forward to continuing our collaboration with Metro and its partners to transform these brownfield sites into safe and usable spaces that will uplift our community. So there were about 10 opportunities that different organizations could do, and I selected a lot things that involve disseminating information and things that we can all do. There's other additional things that this group can be involved in, but I'll let you know once when and if we receive notice that we received the grant about next steps.
Does anybody have any questions for Christina before we vote on this? Jesse?
Are you going to be asking for neighborhood support as well, or just CSE?
Well, the problem with EPA grants is they give us a very short timeline. It's like suddenly we find out that they have granted money available, and it was a very tight, like 30, 40-day timeline. So we're kind of rushing to get letters out. If any organization wants to give us a letter of support, we can get letters in through this Friday, and I'm happy to give anybody a template. And I'm happy to send that, and we'll take anything. So email crobertson@orcity.org. Send me an email, and I'll send you a template.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions? All right, if we'll just take a quick vote by hand. If all in favor of supporting this, raise your hand. Any opposed? All right. Thank you. Okay. Laura, any other public comments?
No, we have not received any cards for any additional testimony.
Okay. Oh, Mark?
Quick clarification, we're on the new rules of voting, primaries only, just as a reiteration?
This was, no, we're not on the new rules. And this wasn't because it's not actually a motion or something that we can just do a majority, raise our hands. Yeah, no, we haven't been officially appointed by the mayor, so. Good question, though. I didn't hear anything. All right, next on the agenda, John Lewis, Public Works.
Great. Well, so today was an extremely wet day in Oregon City. We're hearing it's the wettest day in a very, very long time with 2.7 inches in 24 hours. That's incredible for the amount of rain that falls in Oregon. It's kind of weird, though. It didn't really seem like that this morning when I got up. It just didn't seem that wet. But the rain that happened overnight and just this pre-saturation, it has really been impactful with localized flooding. So the rivers are relatively low, but the localized, Oregon City's got 15 different drainage basins, and they're really flashy. So when it rains like it did in the last 24 hours, you notice it in Oregon City. So we've been dealing with that throughout the day. I think just so you know, when you call in or sent in a request for service in our system now. We've now moved to a system where we're logging those. We may or may not create a service request the minute you call in, so we'll take your name and number and location and what the problem is. We may or may not follow that up with an actual work order, depending on whether or not it requires anything more than maybe just clearing the catch basin or something like that. But so we had 39 service requests today, and most of those were related to flooding. We had, I think, 3 different trees that fell today that we were dealing with as well, and we had a small mudslide on Holcomb right above Redland. So if you're heading up into the Park Place neighborhood, you probably were impacted by that today. We since cleared it up and brought in some what we call Jersey barriers, or basically those concrete median kind of devices that you see. We just set those along the shoulder of the road there so that if any more mud slides, that we'll be able to clean that up. Lots of things going on. Again, most of the stormwater complaints, if they're like debris removal, I think I mentioned this at the last meeting, a lot of people call just to say, hey, there's leaves on the catch basin, come help. And our preference would be if you're capable to just get out there with a rake and remove those. It's a lot easier and more likely to happen quicker because we're just inundated. We've got several staff, but even tonight we're running staff till 9 o'clock, and we're going to make a determination whether needing to run them longer. But a few days of this, it's supposed to keep raining, so our crews get spread pretty thin. So if it's as simple as removal of leaves from a grade or noticing, put your waders on. I'm not suggesting you get out into any, dangerous flow or anything like that, but just that localized flooding, that'd be really helpful for us. The other thing is we do have a sandbag station. It's just down the street here on Center Street at the operations facility. So there's a pile of sand there, sandbags, shovels. You can go after it and bag as many bags of sand as you'd like. But that's a service. There's no charge for that service, so feel free to pursue that. If you do have stormwater complaint, our preference is you can still call us at operations, but after hours, the better option would be to just get on the city's website. There's a government outreach site where you can post your concern on the site, and it'll get logged that way as well. And most of it's just capacity. I mean, our system has reached capacity, and so there's not a lot we can do other than to kind of keep those things flowing. But it's been a busy day, and will probably continue to be a busy day as we move through our busy evening. And if the rain continues, I think it's supposed to curtail a little bit, which will help. But we'll keep working on that.
Not for long is what the predictions are. And it should be getting into Clackamas Park, according to the predictions.
Yeah, so Clackamas Park is something that we deal with every year. Usually there's flooding there, so it's not unusual to see that, but we've got the RV park down there, so typically they've got to move out. And
I noticed it was already closed.
We provide electric service there and water service, so we have to do some special things to prevent that from getting damaged and creating some kind of electrical problem or contamination of your drinking water system. We pretty much shut all that down, so we're working on that as well. Yeah. So that's the update for stormwater and stormwater response. Mark?
I got a question on your Milwaukee. I believe asked us to dispatch on your sandbags.
Mm-hmm.
We organized a group for tomorrow because they're in trouble. They got some needs. Could we use your facility to load up sandbags and then take them to Milwaukee?
For a small fee.
For a small fee. Okay, that's just one of those things.
No, I think if we need to help our neighbors, we're willing to do that. We probably, if we're talking, depends on the effort. If you're talking, I think we've got 10 yards of sand up there. That'll go quick if it's an organized effort. It's sandbagging. We probably, if they need a request, or if you're making it through CERT, we might want to coordinate a location where we can just dump a load and it's easier to get to. That's not
I was thinking that it would be easier to organize here in Oregon City versus taking everybody to Milwaukee and then taking the truck down there and just dumping the bags down there and letting them have at it.
Yeah, so let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Because we've got, now we have a truck with a conveyor system on it where somebody could stand with a bag. I don't know how much resource we could throw at that, but
If we had to, we can mobilize a few people to do that.
Okay, so let's talk about that, because I
Okay.
want to work it out with
We'll
my
do that.
team. Make sure they're up to speed with that, and find out how big a need it is for Milwaukee. We haven't heard from Milwaukee.
We have,
Okay.
so, okay, cool.
Let's see. So I asked Laura to just put up a couple of things because I knew we'd give a stormwater report, but I just wanted to mention, I think I mentioned this last time, the city went ahead and submitted a grant for state improvement project funding, it's STIP funding for we're applying for funds that the city, if we were successful, wouldn't get awarded until sometime between 2018 and 2021. So that's kind of the timeline that happens with these grant award projects. The project we're pursuing for this particular grant, because it's the kind of grant that it is for 5 blocks of Main Street. It's really about projects that benefit transit, projects that benefit pedestrian access, projects that benefit live, work kind of areas. So we have pursued Main Street before with grant applications that weren't successful. We're hoping this one is, although the funding that's available for this grant, there's $11 million in the region, and the region is big. It's not just Clackamas County, it includes Multnomah County and Washington County, even part of Hood County, so it's a big region. And our project is about a $2.4 million project, and we're proposing that we would cover 32% of that with local funds. So your pavement maintenance fee would be helped to fund that. System development charges, if you've bought a new home lately, you probably paid some system development charges, or at least your builder did. So matching some of those grant funds is something that we would do if we got the grant. And so we've got high hopes for it, but there's a lot of project need out there. I heard the project request across the region is exceeding $41 million. And Clackamas County, there was close to $20 million being asked for. So keep your fingers crossed, or say a little prayer, or do whatever you need to. At some point, we may have to get a little more active with kind of the political influence to get our county commissioners to support this project, because like I said, there's several in the county, and how we pursue that is kind of yet to be determined. We submitted on the 20th. The selection process is yet to be kind of laid out for us in terms of, whether they're going to want more information or want some kind of a sales pitch on that. But just know that that's a pretty important project. We'd be doing transit center improvements, sidewalk improvements, lighting, kind of match what's already on the other 5 blocks of Main Street. So we think that would be a great project to get. So just wanted to share that one with you. What's the next item up? This is a map that we created recently. It's kind of an interesting map for the neighborhoods in particular. So as I mentioned earlier, we develop work orders when the guys go out and actually do work in the field. We typically, unless it's just a minor thing or a quick stop from place to place, we develop a work order, electronic work order. And so we asked and a location typically goes with that. So any work order that's got, say, an asset like a fire hydrant or a street sign or something like that, something that we consider an asset, we try to identify the work order with the asset. And then with that, our GIS group can count or determine, where that work order was at. So this map reflects, it's a heat map, it's a 1-year map. It kind of shows where the majority of our responses are. And I've forgotten the numbers on this, I didn't bring them with me, but the red obviously indicates that we're there more often than we would be in, say, the gray areas. The yellow is kind of the medium. So most of our work is in where you probably would have guessed it is in. It's in the McLaughlin neighborhood. That's where we spend a large majority of our time. South End is also another area where there's a lot of effort there. And so we did this for the McLaughlin neighborhood meeting because we were talking about the operations center and just how responsive we are to that neighborhood and how having our facility nearby is an advantage. So being out in the Caulfield neighborhood probably means more drive time and more staff time kind of wasted, whereas if we stay where we're at, we think it's more closely related to where the majority of our work orders are at. So I thought it was kind of a neat map just for all the neighborhoods to see as well, and so you get a sense of how much work we typically do in your neighborhoods.
Yeah, I know you had some projects in McLaughlin this year, some of the road projects. Is this distribution consistent, or does it change radically from time to time?
I don't think it changes a lot. Typically, the road projects, for instance, if it's contract work, so most of our road work was contract work, we don't write work orders for that work. This is mostly our internal crews.
Okay.
It's pretty typical. It may be that Park Place or Two Rivers, because of a particular problem there, might in one year get a little more work order activity than another, but we know generally the older neighborhoods are those where we spend the most time. You know, that's true even today. You know, I mean, we spend a lot of time in the McLaughlin neighborhood clearing catch basins and trying to. Same with Kenema. Spend a lot of time in Kenema today. So I think that's pretty routine. I hadn't seen the map before it was created, but I was kind of predicting what it would look like, and I was pretty certain we'd see those older neighborhoods have a lot more work order calls.
On this map, because I'm really familiar with GIS, some of these locations have facilities, and your work orders are generated on an overlay on your actual facilities, like Barkley Hills. You got a lot of red there because the reservoir's there.
That's
So
right. Yeah.
You might want to overlay the public facilities
Yep.
versus, because it might think that people are actually, we feel neglected by this map. In a sense, so.
I think we have no problem.
You mean because you don't see the,
No, I'm not, I'm telling you.
because you don't see the red, or because it may be because the Buckley neighborhood doesn't need as
I'm
much
just saying the
service.
map could be construed as being,
Yeah, that's true. The other thing this doesn't reflect is this is the number of work orders.
Yeah.
So a work order could take 5 minutes or it could take 2 hours. So
Exactly.
that's one piece that this doesn't reflect, but I still think it's a decent representation
Yeah,
of
it's
where we
good.
spend a lot of our time.
anytime you use GIS, that's good.
Yep. That's it for that one. And then last but not least, I'm going to real quickly just mention this one. This is something that we're working on right now. We're trying to work through an agreement with ODOT to work on a couple projects that you might think would be beneficial. The Yellow Project is a project that we'll be working on with ODOT over the next couple of years. They want to relight the tunnel a little bit. Right now it's kind of dark and dingy through there, especially the pedestrian way, if you ever use the pedestrian way. So that's an ODOT project. They actually got a grant to fix that project. So that's almost a $2 million project. And then with that, the city is required as a requirement of the Willamette Falls project, these other projects. And with that lighting project, we're going to, they've asked that we add some safety enhancements. So as you drive down into the tunnel, there'll be more warning signage that will say, traffic's backed up, slow down, those kind of things, the more active kind of warnings for drivers as they come down Center Street, not Center Street, 99E into the tunnel. So it'll be more electronically controlled and a lot more electronically visible. So that one we expect to see in probably 2 years. The work is kind of getting started soon, so expect that one. The other one is just on the other side of the tunnel. The requirement is there that the city build at some point in the future a turn pocket and a more, I won't call it, it would be a safer right turn onto Railroad Avenue, because right now vehicles come pretty fast down 99E and they kind of slingshot right into Railroad Avenue. And I don't know that we've had a lot of accidents there, but we definitely have concern for the pedestrians that use the tunnel bridge, or the pedestrian tunnel. As they come out of that tunnel, you might want to cross Railroad Avenue there if you're not paying attention to how quickly the cars are coming down. All you got to do is stand on that corner for a little while and you see the speed at which they come around that corner. So the idea would be to use a little bit of that corner property. So we've got to acquire some property from that property owner and build a small turn pocket. There's not a lot of room right there, so we're trying to work through those issues, but the idea would be to kind of build a little bit of a deceleration lane and make a little harder right turn so the vehicles have to slow down, and then give the pedestrian a lot more area to kind of watch the vehicle as they come through that. And then at Main Street, they've asked us to build that in a way that prohibits what would be 99E northbound traffic from turning left into the Willamette Falls site. So if you want to get into Willamette Falls, you won't be able to make that left turn. So that's one thing. And then when we build the waterfront walkway, we have also committed to building what used to be Water Street, so what we call a pork chop, which allows you to make a right turn in or maybe a right turn out of the development. And that's another project that would probably be incorporated into the pathway project, the Willamette Falls Riverwalk project. So those are three kind of interesting projects that are right in the downtown area that I would say over the next several years. The orange and the blue projects are more aligned with when development happens on the site, whereas the yellow project is a requirement that's going to be coming up in the next couple of years. So with that, I'm done.
All right, any questions for John? All right, thank you. Let's see if my monitor will continue to work. It's going in and out. All right, presentations. We have the Clackamas Community College, Lori Hall. Sorry, I'll let you introduce.
That's all right.
Chris.
Thanks for having us here tonight. This is your board representative, Chris Groner. He's going to walk you through our bond project and where we're at today.
All right. And this is Lori Hall. She's our public information officer at the college. Again, my name's Chris Groner. I'm the board representative from Oregon City for Clackamas Community College. I just want to thank you for having me here tonight. And I understand you're going to be helping me, Laura. So it's good to see I have a friendly face helping me. As you may recall, last November, voters approved a $90 million bond measure to expand the college classrooms, labs, and modernize equipment. The passage of the bond also resulted in CCC receiving about $16 million in matching funds. Additionally, our foundation will launch the President's Challenge next year to raise an additional $5 million to supplement the bond. I, along with the rest of the Board of Education, want to thank you for your vote on the measure, which narrowly passed 52 to 48. This funding will allow CCC to grow and will ensure students continue to have opportunities for in-demand, living wage jobs and to pursue transfer degrees. So thank you very much. Next slide, please, Laura. At our October 2015 meeting, the board adopted a resolution approving our master plan for our Oregon City campus as well as the concept plan for the second phase of our Harmony campus in Milwaukee. Tonight, I'd like to give you a quick update on both of those plans. For the Oregon City campus master plan, this was a long-term collaborative effort between architects, college leadership, and the community to envision the future of this campus. This plan includes a redesigned entrance to the campus, including a new transit center and a Myers Road connection. It also opens the center of campus, improves sight lines, and the general flow. And best of all, it allows for continued expansion as the college grows. We'll be constructing a new industrial technical center on the Oregon City campus. This building will have labs and classrooms that benefit programs such as electronics, automotive, manufacturing, and welding. There will be large bays for machinery with classrooms and offices on the first and second floors. There will also be an option to expand the building to the west, left of the building on this map, as programs expand. Next slide. This slide shows the new addition to our Desjardins Science Building in Oregon City. The entire addition will be devoted to labs and classrooms so we can offer modern equipment for programs like biology, chemistry, and other natural sciences. And I can tell you that those labs are the same labs that I used when I went to the college in let's just say a long time ago. And they desperately need to be upgraded. Next slide. The next project is the replacement of our current Student Service Community Commons building on the Oregon City campus. The new student and community facility will allow Clackamas Community College to co-locate support services like financial aid, veteran services, disability resources, advising, counseling, and career coaching all in one location. These critical resources help students stay in school and on track with their careers and academic pathways, and housing them in one building will make it much more convenient for the students. As programs move into new buildings, there will be opportunities to renovate the existing facilities to provide structural and program upgrades. Some of these projects include elevator upgrades, Title IX upgrades, repurposing of Barlow Hall garages bays, which may open possibility of a dedicated automotive and science building, repurposing the bookstore and the McLaughlin classroom space, refurbishing Pauling classrooms, and also our planned classroom updates and upgrades to not only the Oregon City campus, but the Wilsonville campus as well. Over in Milwaukee, we're making improvements to our Harmony campus. The project will replace the 61-year-old former OIT building. The new facility will allow Clackamas community to continue to grow its health science, workforce development, and general education offerings in the North Clackamas area. Some of the improvements include an increased pedestrian access, shown with the blue lines on the slide here, improved vehicle access, which are the black lines, but not any new road construction is necessary, more parking added to the west side of campus, potential for a transit pull-off or a stop at the current small parking lot location, and potential to locate a North Clackamas Fire Department administrative building on the west side of campus. The new Harmony building will be roughly 42,500 square feet, and the projected timeline is we've recently completed our schematics in September. We're currently in our design development from November through January of 2016, and our partner program and class relocation should be complete in spring of 2016. Demolition and pre-construction preparations will be in the spring and summer of 2016, and construction will begin summer of 2016 with occupancy in the fall of 2017. Other bond projects include the Myers Road extension. The college is currently required by ODOT to take part in construction of the road at the intersection of Highway 213 and Myers Road. This extension is expected to add a third entrance to the college. A one-time $40,000 gift for each school district in our CCC district to be used towards an investment that strengthens our partnership with each of those school districts, and a redevelopment of the Environmental Learning Center where stormwater improvements at the ELC will strengthen the vitality of the headwaters of Newell Creek Canyon. And we've been working closely with Metro on that project, and that's one that I'm actually pretty excited to see happen. The ELC's been underutilized and in need of repair for a long time. Speaking of the ELC, we'll be breaking ground on that project as part of our 50th birthday celebration. So please mark your calendars for Saturday, May 21st, and feel free to come help us celebrate. In closing, I'd just like to say that's where we are today. We're excited to start seeing shovels in the ground this spring and students and faculty in our new and improved facilities. Thank you again for having me this evening, and we'll field any questions that you might have, and I may be able to answer.
Chris, can we get this email to, is that okay to send out to everybody?
Sure,
Okay.
sure. You have it already, right, Laura?
That would be
Yeah,
great.
absolutely. Please do.
Questions for?
I got one. I asked this when you came to our neighborhood association. In your bonding, are you working with the business owners you're doing a lot of education, you're doing a lot of training, vocational. Are you working with local Oregon City businesses to place these people as you train them, or are you training them and then?
Well, a couple of different things. One, some of the things we do are work directly with some of the local business owners to actually tailor a program to their needs, and that's I think some of the most exciting things that we do. But beyond that, in terms of placing students into the workforce, we have a career counseling and a workforce development center on campus that can help do that. And I can't say 100%, but I'm almost sure that they work directly with the business owners. So.
All right. Any other questions for? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
All right. And now we will welcome Amber Holvek, who we haven't seen in a while. Welcome back. Chamber of Commerce update.
It is kind of weird, kind of nice to be back. Good to see a lot of you that I recognize from my own service on CIC, and hello to those whom I've not yet met. I'm Amber Holvik. I'm director for the Oregon City Chamber of Commerce. And I had asked Joyce if she would help me just distribute them. I didn't figure she was going to walk around the room, but thank you very much. I just figured that there's enough graphics on this little handout that if I didn't have it in front of you, it wouldn't mean a thing. So this is just to give you an update on where your local Oregon City Chamber of Commerce is, what we're up to these days. And one of the pieces, let me just begin by saying or asking, how many of you are at least somewhat familiar with a Chamber of Commerce? Okay. Okay, looks really, really healthy. Good, good, good. How many of you are like uber well-versed in Chamber of Commerce, Karen? All right. Well, what I'm going to try to do is provide just a quick update where we're at. There are 15 elected representatives that serve on our board of directors, and they are selected from within our 100-plus member businesses and organizations. And then on top of that, we have 3 appointed non-voting members, one from the City of Oregon City, one from Oregon City School District, and then last but certainly not least, Downtown Oregon City Association. And at our last board strategy session, it wasn't even on the agenda necessarily, but as strategic planning might have it, we ended up crafting a new mission statement. And so it's always kind of fun to help reveal and be part of that. Previously, our mission was working together to promote the economic vitality and quality of life in the Oregon City community. It's nice. And the new one isn't a lot different, but it has just a little bit of new zing that I think gives a more active voice to what the Oregon City Chamber really wants and can be for Oregon City. Now we're represented by working together to build a vibrant economy and enhance the quality of life for the Oregon City community. We really want to establish ourselves more as a leader in those efforts, and we're hoping that that mission statement helps us do that. Along with a lot of hard work. And one of the pieces that the board really worked hard on is it's a long-term, or it's a fairly short-term mission, I guess, vision, 2015 through 2018. And we decided to kind of lump it into 5 buckets. So this is our chamber's bucket list. And so I'd like to just walk you through that. The Oregon City Chamber sees a future where OC is a regional destination with each of those different bullet points there. Thriving commercial and business center, vital downtown core, strong tourism, attractive and diverse business mix. A regional destination where we celebrate history and embrace the future, and a quality infrastructure. That's a pretty big mouthful, and certainly we know that we're not going to do that alone. That's where strong partnerships come in, and that's something that a Chamber of Commerce does, and CIC is a great example of partnerships as well. Moving along, we see a future where we are known and recognized as a model chamber where we're growing our membership, we are financially stable and growing, supported broadly by businesses, recognized for effectiveness and engagement, and the community really values what we do. And so these kinds of opportunities are important, and if there are pieces that need to be done and aren't being addressed, then it's important to hear that too. Let's see, moving on, workforce and entrepreneurial development. We see a future where our chamber is an active partner in making those things happening, partnering with our educational institutions. In fact, the chamber has been a supporter of a number of things that Clackamas Community College and Oregon City School District have done and will continue to do so. A future where we operate as a collaborative community. Great example here where we're leveraging diverse partnerships, where we are a voice for pro-business leadership, and where we're offering numerous civic engagement opportunities. And 2016, just as a little sidebar, will be a very, very busy season for us when you talk about politics. And so that's where we will really need to step up and be that collaborative community and offering lots of opportunities for engagement. And then last but certainly not least, that last bucket is catalytic development. We see a future where catalytic development is a reality for Oregon City, and we see the Legacy Project as really a huge opportunity for amazing things to be happening. But that's not the only one that's happening in Oregon City. We have important industrial areas that are just a part of, just at the edge of CCC, and a number of other areas that may be coming to fruition, and they will be important little pieces to really keep turning Oregon City and helping it become that regional destination. Let's see. The next piece underneath our buckets, those are just some graphics of our different chamber programs that we offer. We're very, very well known for our networking, offered every Wednesday morning through our Good Morning Oregon City. And there are a number of different pieces, anywhere from educating our new members to our Government and Economic Affairs Committee, the Buy Local component, Chamber After Hours, speed networking, and the list goes on and on. And then just about wrapping it up, the Oregon City Chamber has been serving the business community since 1909. So folks, we're coming up on 107 years of service here in Oregon City, which is pretty impressive. And we plan to keep that going and serving as best as we can. We are a membership-based business organization that is tax exempt according to the IRS as a 501c6. So it does say that you can be a little bit involved in politics, but not so much. That means that we really can't expend dollars on political issues. And then on the back side, I've included just a few highlights of community activities from December through January. And in addition, I have put down at the bottom some key ones that the Oregon City Chamber is putting on. February 5th, our Mayor Holliday, will be providing the annual State of the City address, and we serve a luncheon at Abernathy Center. February 20th is our annual awards dinner and auction. It will be an international theme around the world down at the Elks Grand Ballroom. March 20th is State of Our Schools Luncheon, which will feature Dr. Truesdell from CCC and Larry Didway from Oregon City High School. And then last but certainly not least, we will be hosting our very first Oregon City Make It or Break It bike ride, Sunday, August 21st. And with that, I will take a breath and say, by the way, today our fall-winter Oregon City Round Town magazines were delivered, only 25 boxes worth at our office, 130 copies per box. And so I would be thrilled to death that you folks would be the first ones from the public to receive this latest issue. So, oh no, you don't have to do that.
Well, anyway, you know better.
But I think what I'll
Feel free,
do,
Joyce.
I will definitely
pass it
insist
around.
that you take one with you, and if you have other places to distribute them to, I'd very much appreciate that as well. And with that, I'm going to say, do you have any questions?
Any questions for Amber?
I think there's plenty for us to all get involved in. And I'd just like to remind folks, our website, OregonCity.org, that is where you need to put your community events. Make sure that we know what community events are happening so we can get it up on our website and share it with the rest of the world. And that is a free service to one and all. All right. Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for stepping up and serving the neighborhoods. And, oh, by the way, this, some gorgeous photos in here. I do need to brag just briefly on the photographer. His name is Jason Facero. He is actually an artist from the Three Rivers Artists Guild. And while he doesn't live in Oregon City, he loves Oregon City as a subject. So, thank you Thank you.
Thank you, Amber.
You want these?
All right, our next presentation.
Pretty, huh? Everybody got one.
Yeah, so very pretty. Mark Steele, Oregon City CERT.
Hi, thank you very much. As you said, my name is Mark Steele. I've been in Park Place for the last 6 years, so this is my first time to the CIC. And we're going to be talking about the Oregon City CERT team, Community Emergency Response Team.
Sorry.
Not a problem. So what I wanted to go over is to bring you up to date as far as what we're doing on Oregon City CERT. We are certainly not 107 years old, but there are days sometimes I feel like I have that amount of background myself. Tonight's agenda. Try to familiarize yourself with the CERT, where we're going, CERT background in general.
We're having a bit of technical difficulties tonight. Sorry
Okay, if you can keep it on those, you can still read them.
I'm not sure. So there you get a preview of your next slide.
And the next slide then, number 2. Up in the corner.
There we go.
There you go. As I mentioned, some background as far as CERT itself and the changes that we were making to previous administrations. I took over the CERT this past July, and so we are changing the focus a little bit into an operational entity, and I'll talk about that, which includes the 3-team initiative, which we're activating here right now, which is in communications, search and rescue, and medical. And so we have some planned training exercises, and as far as the certification that our members are going through to be able to participate in these teams, and then a summary. Oregon City CERT. CERT is a national FEMA program, Federal Emergency Management Agency, that is administered locally. The Clackamas Fire District is our sponsor, but there are other sponsors for CERT teams around the country, including like Toyota down in Los Angeles, different churches, other fire departments, police, and so forth can be a sponsor of CERT. Clackamas Fire District sponsors the free courses that we have available to the public here in Oregon for anyone who lives and works in the area. This is sort of a snapshot of the website that the fire district has on there, and historically we have been one of preparation for emergency preparedness, education, community emergency plans, neighborhood exercises, and so forth. And so I just provided this as background. Greg Ramirez is the emergency manager for us and the fire district. What we have done in the last 5 weeks is kind of an amazing transition. What we have done is initially formed a nonprofit organization. We are now formally a Oregon corporation. We are looking at submitting our 501c3 as a nonprofit, and we're looking at submitting this December, this month. And that does a couple things for us. Number one, it allows us to go out and secure independent funding outside of the Clackamas County as far as the fire department or the city and so forth. In fact, tonight we just found out that we have 3 brand new sponsors, company sponsors, so that's sort of a first for us. And that was as of literally tonight. This also allows us, as a 501c3, to be able to participate directly with FEMA as part of a Tech Core program that FEMA just initiated this past July. And this is actually still a fallout of Katrina, where they are looking for technical expertise to backfill a lack of communications and other technical resources that they realized that they did not have. And so we are looking at participating in that as part of a national resource. resource. We have appointed executive officers and an operations board and team leads. Both Brian and Mark are on the board. Ed Lindquist, behind me, is also on the board. He's been with the fire department for 24 years as a captain. And so we have a lot of expertise and a lot of guidance, if you will, from that kind of talent. We have created bylaws now, and we're looking at voting on those here in January. And we use the Kaiser Cert as sort of an example, and we're modifying them. That we have an attorney that is also part of the team that helped us with that as well. We also started in the last 5 weeks a website, which is not yet completely functional, but it is there, and we have our symbol on it, and we're looking at being able to fill that in here shortly. The initiative and where we're focusing right now is to try to field 3 operational teams. And so I'm looking at doing it in communications, search and rescue, and health and public safety on the medical side. These are operational teams that can be deployed in the area to be able to support the first responders, people being impacted in the community. Communications primarily is the safety link between all the teams and the particular operational centers that we support, where we get our orders. And so safety is kind of key, that if we have people in trouble that they can call back. These are the needs that we have and so forth. So communications is key. And we're doing some very interesting things that I'll talk about in just a minute on the communication side. On the search and rescue side, we're looking at some light technical search and rescue, primarily in an urban environment. As part of the CERT training, we can go in and identify the structural, how structurally sound a particular building is. And so we're going to be getting additional training on that particular line, but we can handle and have an experienced team to be able to support light search and rescue. And then we have fielding a medical team as well. The team lead here is a former Army combat medic, and so we have that kind of expertise to be able to support a medical staff as well. Next slide. The communications trailer that we're looking at forming here right now is rather unique. Number one, it has satellite communications, and we're looking at bringing this operational here next month. So this has satellite communications that can support not only phone data and mapping, but also has a Wi-Fi capability that will allow you to do internet for cell phones. An operations center, for example, if you have an operations center that may have backup power, but all the communication lines are down, we can, with this Wi-Fi, support that particular OIC where all their laptops or their computers can access the Wi-Fi and get access to the internet for communications, even though the landlines are down. Okay? That also has some implications on the business side. Okay? If I have a particular organization, say like Home Depot, and if you have an emergency or a catastrophic event here where people need building materials and so forth to help build up their houses or do some repairs, if they do not have the capability, even though they have backup power, if they don't have the capability to be able to do transactions as far as credit cards, they're not going to be able to survive. They can't sell, they can't operate. With this particular trailer, we'll be able to provide that. Okay? And to the best of our knowledge, this is a unique capability that doesn't currently exist within Oregon right now, or at least within the immediate area. It'll also have radio communications besides just the local radios, as far as being able to control our own teams and talk to the dispatch centers for the city and the county emergency operations center. It'll also have high frequency, which is long distance, which will allow us to communicate to region, city, state, and beyond. And so it's a very well-rounded, very capable kind of platform, more than just a standard communications van or a trailer. So all these combined capabilities today give us something that we think is really going to be very special. Next slide. Some exercises that we're planning on here right now. We have some ongoing training that we're doing in the Incident Command System, the ICS, which is the foundation for all emergency organizations and structure as far as the management staff around that. A lot of training, online training classes, and to be a team member, you are required to be certified. And so that includes a lot of the different classes, and we're going to keep track of all those so that when we deploy as a team, we will be able to show the served agency that we not only have the expertise, but here's the training and we can back that up. Okay? So we're not going into this where we're going to put our own people at risk at all, that we're going in there with an open mind, but a lot of safety and a lot of planning and a lot of expertise behind it. We're doing a point of distribution training here with Public Works. I've been working with Martin on that, and so that's coming up here this coming summer. It's going to be water distribution, and we promise we're not going to be using the water for the next couple days to be able to distribute this coming summer. We are looking at participating in a statewide earthquake exercise, which is going to be coming up this June. There's a lot of different agencies around the state and the region that are going to be participating in this, and so we're going to be putting together our own scenario with the fire district and with ourselves to be able to exercise all three of those operational teams. And we're also doing our own internal planning to make sure people know how to use the radios, that they can communicate properly, and so forth, so it's done professionally. And we don't have, oh my gosh, there's people jumping out of buildings, what do I do? You know, that they actually have a way of being able to describe it professionally and calling for what kind of help they need. So this is just some training. We're also looking at combined training with other CERT teams in the area. This is a big element as far as the other CERT teams and us getting together with all the CERT teams in the area and the leaders trying to make sure that we get overall coverage. So what we're planning with this 3-team initiative, we think is going to go a long ways. So that's where we're focused on right now. So in summary, we're standing up these 3 teams. We're looking to be able to deploy them so that we can support not only the neighborhoods, but the city and the surrounding areas as well. And so we would encourage the neighborhood involvement and participation, especially in the planning. And if we have, especially with some of the communities, if we have earthquake where some of the buildings, or sorry, some of the bridges come down and we get neighborhoods that are isolated, and if we don't have power and communications, how do we talk to them? How do we get back in touch with them? How do we find out what they need? And that's part of the communications plan that we're trying to incorporate the different neighborhoods in as well. So with that, I thank you very much for your time. We're very excited about where we're headed right now. And so we're looking at bringing a lot of things operational here next month. A lot of changes.
Mark, you mentioned the neighboring CERT teams. How many CERT teams are there within the Clackamas Fire District? Do you know?
I think there's about 6. And there's also some areas like Westland does not. They don't have a sponsor, so we would probably be incorporating, you know, or be able to support them. But it includes Boring, Happy Valley, Damascus. What other areas?
Sandy has a
Milwaukee.
a CERT. Milwaukee has
Milwaukee was the one that you took off
Yeah.
from, right?
right. So yeah, so there's CERTs in all different shapes and forms, as Mark said. So, but Clackamas Fire District has 20 stations right now, so they cover a big territory. So if you extend that as far as a enhancement of CERTs, they potentially could have 20 if they wanted to. But that's a tall order when you're dealing with volunteers.
Absolutely.
It's a lot of dedication and it's a lot of effort to go through all the different training to get certified. But we're insisting on that to be able to participate in these teams. So we're going to be interfacing with professionals and we're going to be professional as well. That's the intent.
Great.
If I could have a minute. I'd like to thank Crystal Holloway, Dan Holloway, that's his son, and Ed Lewinsky. And there's one person, Monica Anderson, that's not here, that she's very talented in what she does, and I want to thank them for helping me for the last 5 weeks, and Mark, getting to this point. Without these guys, my job would be a lot harder. So they're doing real well. They're chairing subcommittees. They're committee members. So they're rocking and rolling and doing their own thing, and they're making progress, fast progress. So yeah, as Mark said, we're excited about what's coming forward.
Okay. Any other questions for Mark? Mark or
Never
Mark?
Mark.
For your
Mark or Mark,
time.
yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Our very own Laura Turway will now be giving our presentation for resources available on the website.
Thank you very much. Laura Turway, I'm a planner at the city. So I just wanted to go quickly through our website. We try and do some new topic or learning every meeting, and in the long run we're looking at getting a new website, but I wanted to take you around our website. We've had a lot of questions about development proposals and where to find things, and we've got a lot of answers, but sometimes they're a little bit hard to find. So this is our city homepage. Our website is www.orcity.org, so orcity.org. From the city homepage, I just want to point out a couple of things. One is this link to agendas, videos, minutes. That will get you to where you can see what's going on in all of the committees, this one as well. You can click into each agenda, and then it'll have hyperlinks to all the agenda items and attachments, so you can see what's going on around town. Also, if you've not been to our mapping site, I highly recommend that you do. So in this middle bar, click on Maps, and it'll take you to a menu where you can go into different programs. This OC Web Maps right here is great. You can get in to see aerial photos from various years. You can look at environmental overlays. Whatever it is you want to see is probably on there. In the planning department, we use an employee version with pretty much the exact same thing on a daily basis. Also, there's property reports, so you can type in your address and it'll tell you tax information as well as any environmental overlays, your zoning designation, all sorts of fun stuff. So, neighborhood, it'll show you what neighborhood association you are in. There's also some zoning stuff, tax maps, pretty neat stuff on there. All right, next I wanted to go through this top tab, which is our online services. There's a few things that are pretty nifty here. First is the municipal code and city charter.
Really nifty spot.
Which I'm sure everyone has memorized in here.
Great light reading.
It's
More than that one thing.
yeah. So when we do staff reports in the planning division, we are analyzing development as it relates to the Oregon City Municipal Code. And this is it. For planning, there's a few chapters that we pull, but most of our stuff is in Title 17. And that'll go through all your zoning designations and setbacks and design standards and really interesting stuff. I seem to be more interested about it right now than everyone's supposed to be excited, right? This is where you find out what's your transparency, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, so the code, really good stuff.
Yeah.
Next is the OC request that John was talking about earlier. So this is where you could put in citizen requests. There is an OC request app for Apple and Android. But you could put in there anything you want. If there is a neighbor removed their tree, or there's a nuisance, or whatever it is. So here's our most requested that you could tell.
Sidewalk tripping hazards, for instance, are a good thing to post here. They go straight to code enforcement and they start to enforce.
So we have a timeline on the city end. When we receive them, they get assigned to a person, and we have to get back to you in a certain amount of time and address the situation. So it's a good tool to make sure that we are listening, and we are. All right, next I wanted to go to the planning department homepage. So highlight city departments and go down to planning. This is, I'm sure this is all old news, but Our city homepage for planning has quite a bit of information on it. We do have links to neighborhood associations. What the public seems to be most interested in is this How Do I tab. So say you want to build an addition to your home. Build a deck, fence, learn something about street trees, whatever it is. There's information here, and then there's links to like how-to forms. There's also links to application forms and things like that. So on here there's guides. So if you want to, say, build a deck or something, or a patio, it'll tell you what your zoning designation is, how to find it, check with your CC&Rs, those sorts of things. Also, historic information. We have a lot of historic information on our website, as you are aware. One thing that we have are under historic resources, you can go into the historic districts. So I will pick on McLaughlin right now. When you click on there, you can go down to the district, then to the street, and then you can click on houses. If you want to know if we have an historic inventory form on your home, you can always just type in your address in the search engine. It works really, really well. But this is just a random one. We have all of our inventory forms. A couple of them have a few different surveys. This one only has one. It tells you history on the house, a picture of what it looks like, and its statement of significance as well. So pretty interesting stuff there. I wouldn't be a planner if I didn't tell you about our comprehensive plan, which is under our documents. So comprehensive plan, as we know, is our guiding document to the city, and it tells us how we grow. And our code implements concepts in our comprehensive plan, so a copy of it is right here for you to read. So under applications, we post our application forms and fee schedules and checklists and things like that. But what seems to be of most interest is our public notices. So applications, go to the bottom, then scroll to the right. And this is where we post all of our public notifications. So for any commercial buildings, building additions for commercial, subdivisions, partitions, things like that, it all gets posted here. It's in chronological order, and we post all application materials. Once the applications are deemed complete, we want you to look at it, we post it here. And then we mail out links to the website as well. So for example, this first one is a historic review, so you can tell it's a construction of a accessory garage, 575 square feet. You can look at their plans. There's written descriptions of what they're doing. Everything we do is on here. And if you have something that's, say, going before Planning Commission or City Commission or something like that, so as we scroll down here, you could see subdivision. They're sorted by neighborhood associations as well, so you could tell if it's in your area or not. And all of these, they'll post the public notice, so you could open that up and see what the comment periods are. Remember, you have to comment within a certain timeline, so it'll tell you what that is. Also, it'll tell you when our hearings are, so when the first Planning Commission and City Commission hearings are. Now, if things get continued at the commission level, we don't go in here and post it, but it's a good first step. Everything, once it gets to a commission, gets posted in those agendas, which is that first link that I showed you. And if you ever email us about anything, we just send you a direct link to where all the application materials are on our website as well. So that's it for our website. Is there any questions about our website that you've been dying to see and can't find? Or we got statistics for what people look at most often, and that sort of rounds out what that is. So in your day-to-day life, most often you might want to see the How Do I as a homeowner. Applause.
Glassy eye look.
Yeah, there's a makeup coming, right? Or makeover?
Over to the three.
Yeah, we have a meeting on Thursday.
So we did send out an email to the CIC because we do want to do a makeover of our website. We want to make a really good website, and we want to make sure that we're getting it right. So there's a survey here now on the main page, and then we got a couple of CIC members to work with us to let us know what you like and what you don't like and what format works best. So this is what it is for now. It sounds like it won't change for a while, right?
All right. Any questions for Laura? Okay. Minutes. Did anyone have any comments on the minutes that were sent out? Any corrections, additions, changes? No? All right. So if those are all okay, we can just do a raise of hand vote. All in favor of approving the minutes as written? Any opposed? Abstain? I said abstain. I wanted to confuse you, Joyce. Okay, Barbara?
Distracted by a question that came in.
Oh.
I wanted to talk a little bit about the minutes. Since they're recorded, I find it's kind of redundant for me to spell out every detail. It goes on in this 4 pages, and it takes forever. Is it okay if I do the minutes by expanding on the agenda and referring you to the video? Or do I have to continue as I have been doing?
Me. My training is minutes are only a record of motions and the result of votes. And I don't see why anything other than that needs to actually be written down. That does need to be in a form other than electronic, just in case there's no sound or whatever. But basically, you've got the agenda, any motions and results are all that you really need to record.
So we have spoken with our city attorneys, and we figured out that if we record meetings, we don't have to do minutes at all. If we do choose to do minutes, they don't need to be super detailed, but they do need to capture the conversation and record the votes. So you're right on the motions and the votes, and then also some description of what happened, but it could be that big. So you can choose to go either way. If you want to do no minutes, if something happens with the recording system, we can always do an audio recording and minutes for that meeting should something go awry.
My personal opinion, we've talked about this, is now that we're a city board, I think we need to be unified with all the other boards and commissions, so I would like to see that happen. So if they're doing minutes, I think we need to. If they don't, we don't. I think we need to have some unity there. That was my 2 cents.
boards do minutes?
They do at the moment, yes.
What are they trending?
But very short.
Are they trending to what you're saying? Because obviously the attorney, you talked to the attorney about it, so there must be some changes.
I was inquiring about this group. I don't know if we've had that greater conversation for all the boards for the city yet.
But I say, my opinion would be then, talk to Laura about what the minimum is for the attorney, and just do that.
I'll connect with you.
Great.
We don't need the 4 pages for you, Barbara.
Thank you.
No detail.
I've been there.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't like, I got really good at being brief. Mike, sorry.
The only thing I would say is I think it's important that there are these brief written minutes. Relating back to the website, if somebody doesn't want to try to search through a 2-hour video to see what happened, if they could at least, they can click on the minutes and they can see, if they have a particular item they're interested in, what action was taken, what the result was. I think it's important that we keep doing
Actions, yeah.
at least the key bullet points.
And I will say I've gone back to watch meetings and nobody knew that it wasn't picking the sound up. I've got it, if I can read lips, it's a lovely meeting, but there's no
Right.
sound.
Where the camera was pointing over there and someone was speaking and,
Yeah.
yeah.
We've revised our internal policies a little bit to make sure that the one meeting that we missed doesn't happen again, so.
Does that help you, Barbara?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments on minutes? All right. Did we already vote? Yes, we did, sorry. All right, neighborhood roundtable. Who wants to start?
Joyce.
Joyce. A little bird said Joyce.
Hillendale Neighborhood Association has a agenda well planned for our January 5th meeting. And we are crossing our fingers that the announcement goes out via postcard this time. And we are inviting Tower Vista. So we'll be having land use stuff, police stuff. So we have lots of things going on in our neighborhood. And the pickleball people have been invited to come and do a presentation because of the expansion of the proposed expansion of pickleball courts in the Hillendale Park. And also the new dog park off-leash areas. There are 3 of those areas, and they are in your new trail news. And one of those is at Wesley Lynn Park, which is in Hillendale Neighborhood Association. So we're interested to getting comments back on how the off-leash areas are working. I had a question, though, for Laura when it comes to like the city website. What's going in down here next to Howells by Wally's Music? And if I was interested in figuring out, what building's going on somewhere, how do I use the city website to map that location and see what permits are going on and what's happening? I didn't get a chance to ask you that before the screen went away.
You're probably best to call us and we can email you links if it's on our website. The problem is that like our business licenses and things don't show up on the website. So if they were doing construction, so say it was all an internal TI thing, maybe the planning department might not know about it and it would be a building department thing.
It's a whole new building. The planning department's got to know about the building that's
Are you talking about High Street?
7.
No, 7.
Right up here on 7th.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry about that. So yes, it's under those public notices, everything is posted there. So you would find all new construction and things like that under the public notice part of our website. If you type in the address, that's keyed into there, so you should be able to find it. It is a little clunky at the moment. There's no map with like a nice icon that you could click on and see, the old building permits and stuff like that. But just give us a call and we can tell you what's going on and send you links.
Okay. So what is going on right there? Do you know?
It's a new building.
It's a commercial and office building.
Commercial and office building.
But that application was over a year ago originally. Does it all retain that original number?
Mm-hmm. So sometimes it takes a while to go through the construction process. So planning, so say it's like a subdivision or something like that. By the time you'll start to see houses go up, it'll have been on our planning website a year before. So it takes a while to go through. So for commercial, we go through and put it on our website and do a preliminary approval. And then there's a list of to-do things. So install public infrastructure and turn in a plan about something or another, or trees. And then on the private side, they have to find money and do all of those tasks before you can start doing construction and get release of permits and go through our building permit system as well. So it can take a while. But it's all there. It's there back till 2009 or something like that. It is all there, but it might not be explicitly easy to find at the moment.
Building permits are not
No, but the planning portion with the site plans and things would be there.
currently the way the website's, we do have land use on there. So, when they went through site plan and design review, you would have seen that, but the delay. So building permits, which is what they're operating under now, are not going to be up there. We don't have those posted. So it would be something where you'd have to call us and we'd have to get you that kind of information.
Okay, just, just trying to use the city resources, and we love Go Request.
Yeah. So we probably get maybe, 3 calls a week about what's going on. I see my neighbors swinging a hammer or something like that. So we welcome those calls. We can get you the information easily.
Okay. Was that all you had, Joyce? Okay, Mike.
A quick update on the last meeting of the Caulfield Neighborhood Association. It was on October 27th. We had several presentations, one from Mayor Halliday, who was nice to have him there. Spoke about several of the major things that are going on in the city, the Willamette Falls project, the Cove, the Beaver Creek concept plan, the Myers Road extension, and his comments on the governance of the Tri-City Service District. Several comments from the mayor on that. We heard from Dan Fowler and his group concerning their plans for the Maple Lane Road 213 development. And on that note, a week from tonight, on the 14th at 7 o'clock at the BCT Community Room, which is on Henrici Road, Dan Fowler and his group, again, are going to have another public meeting concerning their plans for that project. And if you drive on 213 or Beaver Creek Road, you should come to that meeting because it's a major project that they have in mind, and it is going to have serious impacts on that intersection. They have some plans to mediate that, but still, it's a pretty big deal. But I would also like to compliment Mr. Fowler and his group. They're being very accommodating as far as getting information out whenever the neighborhood association wants to have it. We also heard from Pete Walter about the Beaver Creek concept plan and how that's being fired back up again. And finally, the group, those of you who know Larry Hanlon, he has stepped down from any leadership position in the Caulfield Neighborhood Association, and the group recognized him for his many years of service to the Neighborhood Association. On the subject of public meetings, this Thursday night, Metro is building the Newell Creek Canyon Park. They're having an open house on their final draft master plan. Thursday night, 5:30 to 7:30 at the old Oregon City High School building. And that's a tremendous asset for the city that we're not directly paying for. Indirectly, we paid our share. But so that would be another good one to attend. And the only other thing on this draft CIC members and neighborhood association meeting dates, the Caulfield dates for next year are all wrong, I think, unless our night changed somehow. Because those are all Thursday nights and our meetings are Tuesday nights. So they should all be 2 days earlier than what's on there.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. Tony?
So for Berkeley Hills Neighborhood Association, we've got a few changes lately. And starting from, we have a full panel right now, pretty much for our neighborhood board members, not the board members, for the officials for the neighborhood association. And so we're working on them. We have a few members at large for the steering committee, and we're still working on getting more people involved in that. We canceled the December meeting because as of 2016, we're trying to do I wouldn't call it bi-monthly, but every other month. And the purpose of that is it kind of keeps it fresh in people's mind of what's going on around the neighborhood instead of every quarter. You know, some people, most people don't show up. So if, I believe if we did it every other month, they'll be able to, you know, if they miss one meeting, and the next one they'll be able to catch up of what's going on. And we're still utilizing our, you know, social media, Facebook, Nextdoor, putting out the information, you know, out there for them to see what's going on. And so from January, that will be our first meeting. We also canceled the steering committee meeting for December, so everything will be starting from January, brand new. We had Katie send us our budget so we can be able to break that down for the 6 meetings instead of the 4 meetings to make sure that we'll have enough money to send out postcards. So the neighborhood park is being revamped, so the whole thing just got taken out, and I believe by spring they should be able to get done by then. They're trying to put in a drainage system as well as a new play set for the kids. So that's a great thing. So we've been working on finding a way to increase neighbors' participation at our meetings. And that's part of the things that we've actually kind of put out there on social media to figure out, you know, we throw out some ideas to figure out, and more of a conversation opening for people to get in their ideas so we can get together at either the steering meeting or the general meeting to discuss how that is all going to play out. Some, you know, advice going door to door, knocking on doors, introducing ourselves as the neighborhood officials, and inviting them to the meeting or sending more postcards or letters. So that is still something that we have in the works right now too, and I will keep you guys posted on how it's working out. Again, I'd like to thank Mark for being Mark, for being Mark, and also for all the hard work he's been putting in, and especially with the start around Oregon City, the neighborhood really appreciates that. So, yeah, man. Yeah. So that's it for Berkeley Hills.
All right. Tony, Laura, John?
Do you want me to go later in the city business? Or?
Yeah, for that. I just wondered if you had anything to add at the moment, other than that part. Anything else new? Barbara?
I do have notes. Wait a minute.
Shall we come back to you?
Yeah,
okay.
Please.
I don't have any updates for Gaffney Lane neighborhood at the moment. We're in the middle of the holiday season, so we don't have any meetings going on currently. But as the CIC chair, I went to the City Commission last Wednesday to give our annual update that we now do. And so I shared with them our goals that we have for the next 2 years. I guess it was this year and next year? Yeah. So I thought the commissioners responded well to what's happening and what our goals are, especially putting into place ideas for improved involvement, like Tony had mentioned, and putting into place what we're going to do to help reactivate and keep active neighborhood associations. Because we currently have 2 that are inactive and several others that could be inactive very easily by just a chair resigning. So that's something that we'll want to, as the CIC, really hit next year, is to start working on our goals. But like I said, I felt the commissioners did they really were responsive to that. So I shared with them some pictures from our Health and Safety Fair National Night Out. Make sure you get those on your calendar because we all are asked to attend at least one public event, which we'll be discussing next year which ones we want to go to. And start looking at other neighborhood association meetings for next year, since we're also asked to attend other neighborhoods. So that was on Wednesday, and then Thursday morning I was able to meet with Laura and the Community Development Department Stakeholders Group, which is a committee they've had going, developers and builders, talking about the business or the building side, a lot of the building side of land use. And so that was a really interesting meeting, listening to the builders and some of the developers and their concerns from that side of it. So as that moves forward, I think that's a monthly meeting. Yeah. So I will be giving you more information there. But I was very impressed with our current Bill, Mike Roberts, talking about they're creating a, what did he call that? Is a plan, anyway, because I didn't realize that, the building code is a statewide jurisdiction, but there's things that they have to, there's a 4-year renewal and they have to be in compliance, and he's been working really hard to do that. So I was very impressed with the work that he's doing, and if we're trying to get a permit to do something as a homeowner, they're trying to find out what ways we could help make it easier. What are some of the things that maybe the problems that people have run into? So if you hear comments out there when people are trying to get a permit or have already gotten a permit, that's something that they want feedback on. So if you have any feedback on that, just let us know as things are going on. So that's what I did last week.
All in one week. That's pretty good. Rivercrest had our quarterly meeting. Not a huge attendance, but a nice number of neighbors, and we had the White Oak people come out. And interestingly, I don't know how many times you drive by something and you don't really see it. There's a nice stand of White Oak along Lynn Avenue, including right in front of my apartment complex. But they're all in like planting wells in the sidewalk, so you can't do a lot about improving the landscaping around them at the moment. But we had people took postcards home because several people said they knew they had a neighbor that had one, and So hopefully maybe we can get at least one person interested in the training and the landscaping. And we've set the dates for our fun stuff. Our hanging plant sale will be April 30th, so plan ahead for Mother's Day. And we'll have our picnic the second Thursday in August at the park. Hot dogs and bring your dessert goodies. And that's about it. And we're happy to report that so far Merrillhurst School is proving to be a very nice neighbor. Haven't had any particular problems or issues, and we did notice that the school zone signs were promptly put back up. Now I have
Now we're
to
trying
do-
to train ourselves.
When I pull out of my driveway, I have to remember not to hit the gas if I turn right. So that's it.
Yep. All right, Brian?
Okay, we had our last meeting almost 2 months ago, and we'll have another one on the 27th. We got our first person on the agenda the day before the last meeting, because they just contacted us at the wrong day. And we've made a comment or two on different development proposals, none of them real huge or anything. So we did get a presentation from the developers of the Cove again, and they're hoping to move forward soon, at last. Soon and at last. So with the somewhat revamped plan. So we'll see how that works out in the next little bit here. Okay.
Okay. Barbara will come back. She's ready now.
Okay.
Hold on,
She's ready.
Steve. She's ready. We're going to fling back, and then we'll fling back.
Okay. Park Place neighborhood had a steering committee meeting on November 16th, and it was very well attended. We discussed funding contributions for the Lions vision testing, and that will be made when the schedule is available, probably around $100. We are working on, again, like Tony is, with a meeting notification expansion. And we're posting at several places, Steve's Market, Pioneer Pizza, and the Housing Authority in the Park Place neighborhood. We are part of Nextdoor, and announcements are made there. And we have the postcards that have been going out in timely. So, on new business, we had a problem with one of our signs, the one on Forsyth, and we're working on restoring that. We have a handyman that's thinks he can fix it, and so we're working on that. And then we were supposed to have more details on the Cove project, and I see that's coming in the city meeting.
The
City
Planning Commission on
Planning Commission,
Monday.
December.
I'll give you an update on it.
All right, okay. And Linda Van Haverbeek is on, in Park Place and on the steering committee. And she spoke to Jerry Herman about new enhancement projects. And she also noted that she can be contacted for other ideas that he might have. She could work on. And that's about it.
Okay.
So tomorrow there's a vision screening at Holcomb School,
Oh,
and that's I think 10 o'clock. We also are doing vision screening at the Jennings Lodge School.
mhm.
I don't know how that's in the Oregon
Yeah,
City
it's
School
that
District, but
wild-
it's
Yes,
just
yes.
one of those
Jennings
things.
Lodge. Yes, yes.
So, and then next week we will be doing, not next week, Wednesday.
Yeah, Gaffney Lane.
We'll be at Gaffney Lane. So somehow we've gotten involved and are wandering all over the school district,
Good for you guys.
having people stare in the little. So, other than that, I've been sick and I haven't been involved. So, I did get appointed to Urban Renewal.
Oh, good.
So, I will be on the Urban Renewal Commission for the next 4 years.
Good.
Good sentence.
All right. Bill?
Thank you. South End did not have a meeting in November, so nothing to report there. Our next meeting is in January on the 16th, and John Lewis is going to be our featured speaker for the night, so we're looking forward to a good turnout then.
And you will be including the Hazel Grove Westland Farms, correct?
Sure.
Because we had, that kind of got, I know if you remember that we assigned that to your guys, so
Yeah.
add them to the mailing list
Okay.
and notice on your notice.
I'll make sure that she's aware of that then.
Okay.
That's about it.
Mark?
Tony said all he needs to say, so we're good.
All right. Faith?
The only thing that I'll mention is we wanted to have, we don't have a lot of controversy in Hillendale. So, but we
Yay.
want to bring people out on rainy days in January to find out what's happening in their city and stuff. So that we're trying to make it sexy. Having the policemen talk about, something that will catch their attention about robberies in your neighborhood, even if there's no somebody got robbed somewhere in.
You've had a lot of activity over there.
Yeah, we have
So
had
you
some
should-
activity.
all over
But-
next door, so.
And then having, and lost cats and stuff. I mean, we have a lot of stuff about it. But, so we thought since our last mailing didn't go out, we were toying with the idea of getting spending some of the money to have a $50 gift certificate from Safeway, so that if you brought your card, you got to do that. And the city and Laura and people are talking about it to see if we can actually spend money on other than printing and mailing. But we thought that might bring people
Let
out.
us know. Let us know.
Yeah,
That'll be interesting.
because that would be
Writing is an option.
Because I didn't
Missed
think that
that,
was an
didn't you?
option.
So
About-
I
about-
do know the answer. Did Katie get back to you today?
Yeah, but she said you're still discussing it, and we couldn't do it for this time, but
So the
No.
consensus was that the money was meant for mailing.
printing and mailing only, not for
so-
bringing people out.
Well, so, no. But if we want to, hopefully in 2016, we could sort of form guidelines for identifying what the money is for, which will probably dovetail from our public involvement plan, where we're going to start to figure out other uses for this pot of money. So at this point, it's only said that it's for noticing. So it's not for it now. But
Make a sexy sign.
so we can reevaluate what the money is for on the city's end, and then the CIC can look at, here's
I
a
don't
list
even
of
know
what
if
we
it
want to
would
use
draw
it
people
for.
out, but
Yeah.
we're just hoping, a rainy day in January, who's going to come out anyway?
It's creative, though.
But
Mhm.
we're
Points
trying
for
to
that.
think of ways to get people to come and meet their neighbors. That's all.
Yeah, so we weren't to that point where we're ready to expand yet. And
So we need to have a really good CIC plan.
Faith, we have drawings. Do you have drawings for prizes that are donated by shop owners, or like a gift certificate to the restaurant, or?
We haven't done that. We do that for our church, and I've gotten 30 businesses up on the hill to donate to stuff, but will they donate to a city, to a neighborhood as well?
I've had, it didn't bring any additional people, but I've had several times that I did drawings, but I went out and drummed up the people, but it didn't really, in our neighborhood.
Doesn't draw 'em out.
It didn't draw them out. And they were good prizes. I was surprised. Joyce?
I'm trying to figure out, Laura, you said it could only be used for advertising purposes, or?
Noticing.
Noticing, for notices.
So I spoke with Durfee, and it sounds like the city gave the CIC money for noticing to get people to neighborhood meetings.
Noticing.
Printing and mailing.
And signs.
Just printing and
You
mailing,
can make
but we've
signs.
used that money for signage.
Yeah, you can buy signs.
Yeah, okay, so.
Noticing, yeah. Mm-hmm.
All
So,
right.
so far, I know it's been used for printing, mailing, and signs.
Okay, just wanted to confirm that signs are still okay. And
As long as they make the
so
sign code.
Door prizes and things like that, we have to, go and ask the businesses if they want to come and donate something.
For the next time, not for this one, but for the
Okay,
next time.
well,
we should try to do
yeah,
that.
it's kind of late for our card this time, but I just really want to make sure that we get advertised, because it was so disappointing to have, all those speakers there and a great program and the, yeah.
9 people.
Well, now that we have a
6 of us
template and
going.
she has a plan, I think it'll be good.
So, but again, word of mouth is always the best way. Getting out there, using Nextdoor, using our Facebook pages, and telling.
I think if the cards, if what we say on them is something that grabs them about their life and their neighborhood, come and meet your neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
It's important. I wanted us to word it so that it sounds like something they want to see, not just
pickleball versus basketball at Hillendale.
Yeah, something,
That's
question
right.
mark or whatever. But if you just say police crime statistics in your area, it doesn't. Anyway.
All right, Jesse.
McLaughlin is going to be using our money to buy me a new sign for the CIC. Since we're allowed to do that. No, I'm Jesse Bess.
You can have mine.
I wasn't at our last meeting, which was last Thursday, the 3rd. However, I do have updates. We have elections next month, January 3rd, the Thursday, for our steering committee and our officers. This last Saturday, the 5th, we had the Friends of Trees program, which was great. I took part in that. It was McLaughlin and Barclay Hills. And between the two neighborhoods, we planted 95 trees in the morning. Wow. Which was a lot of fun. My crew down here in McLaughlin was really interesting, and Johnny, you probably would expect this if anyone had asked, but there's a lot of rock when you start digging. So if you see little rock piles planted next to new trees, that's where the rocks were.
Jesse, I was walking through Waterboard Park on Sunday, and it's amazing how some of the trees have grown in through those rocks. So you can plant them in just a little pocket, little tree, and of dirt in between that stuff, and it'll grow.
Well, we had some really dedicated volunteers from Friends of Trees. One guy, this I think was his 38th planting with Friends of Trees.
Wow.
And so he was very, very particular about tree planting. I'm sure they'll all survive. But also, as far as the postcards for McLaughlin, I think this has been decided, but we'd like to put an email address on our McLaughlin notification postcards so that if someone sees that email address, they can email that address. It's mclaughlina@gmail.com right now, and then they can get future notifications about other meetings and hot topics, even if they don't get the postcard. I know that they can do that through the city, but it's just another option as well. I know at my house I don't always get the postcard. I happen to know when the meetings are, but not everybody does. So we'll be implementing that probably soon. And at this last week's meeting, it sounded like there was a lot of enthusiasm. It had been proposed to have a livability conference for Oregon City, and McLaughlin would really like to get all the other neighborhoods involved in that. I wasn't part of the discussion, so I don't know the details or what that would involve, but it's in the early planning stages, and stay tuned. That's it.
Great. Thanks, Jesse. Jessica, welcome to Roundtable.
Thank you. Can everyone hear me okay? All right. So on the 19th of November, we had our elections. So we have 4 new officers and our steering committee members, or officers. And we had an impromptu steering committee meeting on Saturday, which went well. I think first and foremost for Conemaugh, our goal is to restore peace. It sounds like it's been pretty rocky. And so I hope that it goes well for all of us. And we have a steering committee meeting set for the 9th of January. And then I think the main topic is our bylaws. We need to get our bylaws ratified. And I think that the best way to get people to come out to your meetings is to stir up some trouble.
I don't want to do that.
At our elections, we had almost 70 people come to our meeting.
Wow.
Yeah, show up to vote. And
Out of the 40 people in the neighborhood.
yeah, exactly. But
That's definitely.
so baby steps for us, baby steps, and that's pretty much it for us. So
We
thanks.
welcome peace.
Thank you.
Peace, yes.
Gary?
I really don't have much. Just to report on our South End Road cleanup. That kind of seems my baby. We picked up a couple of weeks ago on South End Road again, from the top to the bottom in the county area, and there was several interesting things. One, there was a baby deer that got run over, so we found him on the side of the road, which was kind of sad. And there was an automobile accident, and there were several parts of the car left there, so we picked those up. So that was this time's interesting stuff.
Anything you could resell?
Our next cleanup will probably be in January. So if anybody wants to drive by and honk at us, we're out there.
I got to say, though, I think our favorite litterer is the person who attempts to be neat.
Oh, my gosh.
They consume 2 24-ounce cans of something. I just saw Clamato juice. And then in the same bag that they allegedly took it out of the store in, they tie it all up and then toss it out of the side of the road.
Much
So
easier.
we usually get at least a half a dozen of those every time. So
Aw.
like you said, it's very interesting to see what people toss.
I did have a question. You had talked about the flagpole at Chapin Park. Do you have an update on what's happening, or is happening, or isn't happening with that?
Yeah, I think that ended up, nothing happened. Has happened
yeah,
yet.
I saw
Yeah.
that.
But when she first found out it was available, I think everybody immediately sprung into action with hope that everything could be done by Veterans Day, but obviously that hasn't happened yet, so, I haven't had any updates
Okay.
since. So.
Throw something else in.
Yeah, go ahead, Karen.
I just realized under John's report, you didn't tell us about the elevator party.
I didn't. You want to?
Well, I'll say thank you to Public Works, who pulled off a happy 100th birthday for the elevator.
How are the cookies?
I only got to look at them, but they were beautiful, and I understand, including several people, including Joyce, have a cookie home drying as a memento because there were these beautiful little rectangular cookies with the city logo on them for the elevator's 100th birthday. And the Public Works did some very interesting displays on the history of the elevator. Claire Met brought some of her memorabilia. We had people around to answer questions, and I had some people ask some really good questions. And then the coolest thing out of the whole deal, it pays to have an event and advertise it. You put in the newspaper that we're having a 100th birthday party for the elevator, and a gentleman in Gladstone calls Public Works and says, hey, I had this thing in my garage for the last 40 years. Do you want it? It's the original sign from the old elevator. It's metal letters on a metal backing that says Free Oregon City Elevator. And Public Works kept pretty quiet about it, and it got its grand introduction at the event on Saturday. So it was fun, and happy 100 years of Vertical Street in Oregon City.
That's great. All right, Laura.
All right. For city business, I have quite a lot to say.
Tony, did you have? No, just kidding.
Yeah.
Right?
Did we vet her comments in advance?
So our new library, just an update on that. It's on time and on budget, so we're doing good there. Ermitinger House renovation is done. Programming or use of the building is still being determined. It will reopen in 2016. New family changing rooms are going to be constructed at the swimming pool this winter. That's good. The playground at Barclay Hills Park is being replaced with the new playground, just like Tony had mentioned, working with the Oregon City High School construction program on this project, and it's going to be completed in spring of 2016. There's 3 off-leash dog areas that have been opened within existing city parks: Wesley Lynn, Barclay, and Park Place. These are non-fenced areas. They're designated and signed in parks where dogs can be off-leash, but within the owner's control. There is a couple of master plans for parks that we've been working on, Glen Oak and Filbert Run. They've been completed. We're trying to figure out a timeline for eventual construction. So it's still going through the works. The RV park is closed as of today, and it will be reopening pending any flooding conditions.
Oh, actually,
spring.
Actually, on that one, yeah, the commission decided we had a park host down at the RV park that we were fortunate enough to have work there for quite a long time. They informed us that they're going to be leaving that facility, so they gave us notice. Because of the age of the RV park and the effort that goes into prepping that when flood events happen, which can sometimes be multiple times during the winter, and the inability to get a park host in place and trained with the short notice that we have, the city commission did determine that they're going to keep the RV park closed over the winter. We're going to try that out this year. We tend to have much more limited use of that facility during the winter months, and then revisit that once we open again in spring to make a determine how we will handle the winter of 2016 in terms of keeping that open year round versus shutting down during those winter months. So just want to make sure clarify that.
All right, and I promised an update on the Cove, so here's a brief update. We had a work session. So the Cove is a development near Clackamas Cove, generally behind Oregon City Shopping Center, and it's quite a large development. It was approved for a master plan in 2008. In 2009, they came back again and amended a portion of the master plan, but as you can tell, no dirt has really been turned on site. The applicant has now submitted a proposal to implement phase 1 of construction and amend the master plan slightly as well. That phase includes the construction of 244 multifamily units directly behind Oregon City Shopping Center. There was a work session at the Planning Commission on November 23rd, and the first public hearing is December 14th, so a week from today. And it will be in chambers here before the Planning Commission.
Okay, so is that on the whole project or just the portion across the road from the Cove itself?
The dwelling units will be across the road from the Cove itself. So Main Street kind of wraps around back behind Oregon City Shopping Center, and that's where they're proposed. There is some grading associated with that, so it's in the floodplain, and the dwelling units have to be lifted up out of the floodplain, so there'll be some grading along the Cove in a small portion. The furthest part away from Main Street will have a little bit of grading there. So there is some grading off that site, but most of those sites is
Let's preface that by when you guys see it's going to look like a lot. It's not a little.
So okay, there's a fair amount of grading, but the construction itself is really
It's a little to us mathematically, but
it will generally be street improvements and construction of a roundabout, and then those dwelling units is the phase 1.
How many apartments?
244.
That glacier mess.
And we have the application on our website under the land use notices, but also if you actually want to see it, we have our Planning Commission agenda posted on our website. So just go to commissions and go to the Planning Commission agenda, and there is more information there than
Yeah, be ready for
probably care to read.
lots of attachments if you're interested in reading every little bit.
Yeah. But if you have any questions, give us a call, and we'll walk you through it as well. Next is the CIC appointments. So I have a list that I circulated around, and I will touch base with you. I just wanted you to just take a look and make sure that everything is right for your neighborhood association. Mike, I'll touch base with you regarding the meeting dates. I realize now the error that I made there, and then also I did fill in the primary and the alternate for Barclay Hills. So just take a quick glance and let me know if it looks right. If so, then we'll make sure our website's updated to reflect that as well.
Laura, my name is Barbara, B-A-R-B-A-R-A.
I will spell that correctly. Thank you for pointing that out.
And Laura, Rivercrest meeting dates are wrong, but I sent Katie the correction.
I didn't look at mine on here. I
Can you forward that to me?
Yeah, actually, let me double check. This
Is
one
it-
may have been.
This is her update.
No, yours is right. Okay, sorry.
that's right.
These are right now.
Okay, perfect.
Oh, okay.
So this list is important. One, for the meeting dates of next year, so we can start to put together our information sheet for CIC, which Amy's working on as well, for our meetings, so we know we could pass it out to the public and they'll know ahead of time when all of your meetings are. But also the primary and the alternate CIC members. They will go before the mayor at the next city commission meeting, which is December 16th, and the mayor will do his appointments. So thank you for the nominations. You can choose to show up to the city commission meeting or not. He'll read off a list of each neighborhood association and the primary and the alternate member for that association, as well as your terms.
When is that again? Sorry, Laura.
December 16th. It's a Wednesday. Commission meetings start at 7 p.m. So I'll forward you a link to that agenda so you can see it when we send it out. And after that, then everyone will still sit here as we do now, but if there's a matter that requires voting, then just the primary votes. So that's really the only difference. All right. We have not received any requests to continue to process our grievance. So at this point, we're done unless we're known and we hear otherwise. So thank you for the grievance committee for working on that. And next, we submitted an application to Portland State University for their Masters of Urban and Regional Planning program to do a public involvement plan. And we haven't heard back yet. We expect to hear back in January. And the request was to get a group of master's students in here to help us work on a public involvement plan. So fingers crossed. I think we did a good job in our submittal, but there's a lot of people vying for just a few projects. So we'll see how it goes. I will let you know. That's all I have.
Tony?
I can't remember if I brought this up last time. Early November, we unveiled the Officer Libke sign that'll be placed on Highway 26. So, okay, so I did bring that up last time. It's not up yet, I don't believe, but hopefully within the next couple of months, you'll see it on Highway 26 as you get near the coast out there. Many of you probably saw we had some significant vandalism in the Mountain View Cemetery. When they hit out there, it looked like they knocked over about 31 tombstones, hit quite a bit of our historic area of the cemetery, as well as some damage, vandalism to the facilities there, the mausoleum, benches. And but the good news is out of the 31 headstones that were knocked over, we were able to put back 29, and then the two that were essentially broken beyond conventional repair, we're going to put back together to the best that we can and get those put back up again. I haven't heard anything in terms of who is responsible for that. We do have a reward out for any information leading to an arrest related to that vandalism. And then the last thing I have is the City Commission did open up the city manager position for applications to be submitted. That closed today at 4 o'clock. The HR department will go through. The request of the commission was to provide them with the top 10 applications. And then the HR director is going to go back to the City Commission for what process they'd like to do for interviewing and making their final selection. Most likely, we're looking at probably February by the time that position's filled, pending on the needs and timing of the person that is chosen for that position. So that's all the updates that I have.
All right, thank you. And with that, we are adjourned.
Thanks.